What's up, world? This is America. Again, we're here back, week 2, episode 2. Hobson McCain,
I'm
recent
Mark.
graduate of Lehigh University. Here with my boy.
Mm-hmm. Mark Ray Redmond. We here.
Yeah, out here trying to spread good
Yeah.
news, bad news, and everything in between. So the format has changed a little bit this week. We're now going to be releasing 4 individual episodes over the span of the week so that you guys don't have to sit through an hour-long video. Hopefully that'll, encourage a few more viewers and have you guys be able to absorb more information over a longer span of time. So, with this week, we're starting off on the social front with
Uh-huh.
gun rights and the Second Amendment. Now, this is obviously a very big issue just because,
Sensitive.
yeah, sensitive issue, important issue, especially in light of recent shootings. Children not feeling safe in schools, people being shot by the police. There's a lot of gun-related violence in America at this time, more
Yeah.
so than most other countries. This is a suggestion from, actually, it was sent in to Mark. Uh, if you want
My friend Michael Ohibamore. I'm sorry if I butchered your last name, bro. I've read it a couple times. I read a whole bunch, but I've never actually tried to pronounce it. So my bad on that one.
yeah, so shout out to Michael for the topic suggestion, a great suggestion, and we're gonna start breaking this down. So I'm just gonna start it off. I'm gonna read what the Second Amendment says. I feel like a lot of people talk about the Second Amendment, and a lot of people probably don't know what it says. So
Yeah, because the arguments don't make a lot of sense.
yeah,
If you
so
back and read what it's supposed to be.
people say, oh, Second Amendment is the right to bear arms.
Cool.
Asterisk next to that. So, Second Amendment says a well-regulated militia, being regulated to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
The people, militia, keywords.
those are very key words because, after the Civil War, the United States government officially disbanded militias in the country. Because
Yeah.
originally with the states' right movement and a lot of stuff like that, when the country was really first established, the states had their own militias to defend themselves from a tyrannical government. That's the basis of what the Second Amendment was formed upon.
And what that lead to?
Yeah, that led to the Civil War.
Okay. Just
And then to further that, James Madison, who wrote the Second Amendment, he lived in Virginia, I believe. He actually formed the Second Amendment to help protect against slave revolts. So that's another interesting fact. These are just facts. Take it or leave it. I'm just presenting the facts of the situation. Now, in 1866, a civil rights law explicitly gave free slaves the right to bear arms. And then 100 years later, 1966, Governor Ronald Reagan banned open carry in California because the Black Panthers were exercising their right to bear arms and open carrying around the state. And he's quoted as saying, "I see no reason why in the streets today a citizen should carry a loaded weapon." This was called the Mulford Act. But the issue is that Ronald Reagan is one of the most renowned Republicans. Some consider him to be one of the best presidents that we've ever had. Now, he publicly stated that there was no reason for citizens to be carrying loaded weapons in public. Nobody had an outcry for, the NRA actually supported this up until 1970 or 80, I believe. And from the 1930s to 1970s, NRA actually supported restrictions on machine guns and open carry rights. So there wasn't a lot of backlash from, policies like this until recently, the last 40, 50 years.
Did you notice that the NRA doesn't really care about black people's right to carry arms. Like, that's something that I've heard before, and, you know, through my years of living, I've seen with my own eyes them decide and pick and choose when to support people, because, you know, they're supporting campus carry. Like, I've seen it all over Twitter. There's girls talking about campus carry rights. In Ohio, I want to say in the 70s, in Kent State University, the police murdered students at Kent State University, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
It'll be a different college, but I'm pretty sure it was Kent State.
It was.
And there was a young lady at Kent State University walking around with a AK-47 in her cap on. To me, if that young lady was black, you've seen how that went with Reagan and California. People aren't a fan of black people having guns, and I just don't understand. Actually, I can't say I don't understand it, because I do. I understand it very well why they don't want us to have guns. It makes a lot of sense. But it, to me, is very, very confusing when they support campus carry, but they didn't support Philando Castile.
Yeah.
He had all this paperwork, told the police he had his paperwork, and still got shot for having a gun. A lot of questions.
Yeah, no, 100%. The NRA and honestly politicians. I don't, the Trump administration hasn't made any statement or many statements, if any, regarding police brutality or anything like that. And police have the right to carry guns. We're not trying to take guns away from the police. They need them. So that's not really our argument. Right now, we're really just talking about the fact that when black men are seen with guns, or black citizens are seen with guns, it's seen as more of a threat than when white individuals are seen with guns. Now,
Tamir Rice, 12 years old.
Yeah, Tamir Rice too. Yeah, Tamir. He didn't have a real gun. There was a guy. Wasn't there a guy in Ohio who?
Beaver Creek.
Beaver Creek.
When I heard about it, my first question was, why is he in Beaver Creek? Because Beaver Creek, statistically, based on the census, is 98 or 99% white. That's just the facts. It's not me making that up. You can Google that. It's everywhere. It's on Wikipedia and everything. So when I heard about it, in the moment, it bothered me, but it's sad to say that I wasn't really surprised, because that's just the way that the country's been working historically. That's just the fact.
100%. And then further, I think it's important also to point out that until 2008, the Supreme Court hadn't explicitly affirmed individuals' rights to bear arms for protection. In 2008, unfortunately, I didn't write down the case. Bad job, hobby. But in 2008, there was a Supreme Court ruling that said individuals had the right to bear arms for self-protection. And again, my argument is not to take away arms. And people who are advocating for gun rights, they're not trying to take away your hunting rifles. They're not trying to take away your pistols, your shotguns, any guns that have practical use. I plan on getting a license to carry permit in Georgia. You don't even need to have a permit to purchase a gun. You just need to have a permit to carry one. So
I'm gonna have a concealed carry.
So I'm all for gun rights. I'm all for citizens' right to protect themselves and protect their home, because just like a lot of people who argue for gun rights and the Second Amendment, you didn't see the quotes, but I quoted. The Second Amendment argue that, bad guys aren't going to stop, they can get guns illegally. They're not going to stop getting guns just because we ban them. Understandable. When's the last time somebody broke into a house with an AR-15?
Interesting.
Don't know.
The last time they shot up a movie theater.
Yeah, it seems that criminals use AR-15s to commit mass murders and stuff like that in places where you're not permitted to carry a weapon. For example, in the Las Vegas shooting, you're not supposed to carry weapons into a hotel in Las Vegas. Especially a military grade weapon like an AR-15. Further, another argument people make for the Second Amendment is that AR-15s aren't fully automatic. They're like pistols. You have to, there's one bullet per trigger shot. Now, the military actually is the reason that AR-15s aren't fully automatic, that they don't spray because they're less accurate that way. They're much more efficient at killing individuals when you can just pop, 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 pop. Now, again,
It's all about actually pull the trigger too.
yeah, and the fact is that AR-15s carry more bullets than pistols, shotguns, and hunting rifles. So if somebody's coming into let's say coming into a school trying to commit a school shooting with a pistol, you know, it still can do damage 100%. You know, a gun is a gun, a bullet is a bullet, and if a bullet hits you in the right place, you're going to die, regardless of what gun you're being shot from. So I understand that argument, but AR-15s are designed to be efficient killing weapons. They're military grade weapons, the same weapons that they're using, to commit these mass murders are being used by the military. So I don't think there's any reason that a military grade weapon should be available to the public, especially when a lot of these individuals that people claim have mental illnesses and stuff are able to so easily get a hold of these guns. So, um, you know, that it's frustrating to have to talk about this a whole bunch, and we know that there's probably gonna be a lot of backlash from this video because um, gun rights supporters love to say, "Oh, they're trying to take our guns away," and that's just not the case. Like,
You're not listening.
nobody is trying to take all people's guns away. Donald Trump even said, if Crooked Hillary got elected, you guys would be turning your rifles. You guys would have already turned all your rifles in, and that's just not true. Like, it's a blatant lie. The left is not trying to make sure everybody has to. You have to protect yourself with butter knives, because people can get killed with a pistol. People can get killed with a sharp steak knife. People can get killed with a lot of things, but the efficiency of these killings would be a lot less if we ban military grade weapons.
Let me try to take away their little argument. For me, I understand the other perspective of us trying to take away your guns. If we make it harder for people to get legal guns, then there will be more illegal guns. And I looked at the statistics yesterday. I want to say that 80% of gun-related crimes are performed with illegal guns. So making the gun laws more strict wouldn't necessarily lower our crime rate per se as far as violent crimes with guns. But like you said before, when people perform mass shootings, you don't perform a mass shooting with a pump shotgun or a 9mm pistol. You do a mass shooting from what we've seen with an assault rifle. You might have backup guns like you're playing Call of Duty or something, but this is not a game. This is not how people are supposed to really be moving. You don't need an AR-16. You don't need an AK-47. You don't need an AR. You don't need any of that. The Second Amendment was created for a militia to protect us from our government. I don't think that today we necessarily need protection from our government. Now, I, as a black man, can make a totally different argument saying that I need to have a gun because I feel threatened by people like the police. But Orlando Castillo had a legal gun, told the police he had a legal gun, and was murdered for it. So that right there puts a little
after
bit
being told to give them his license.
Like he explained it to him. He said his wife and child were in the car. He got shot in front of them. I don't know why the policeman believed that he would attempt to get in a shootout after he said he had a gun
with his 4-year-old daughter in the back seat.
In the car. Makes zero sense. They still felt threatened, shot him. Nobody went to jail. Cool. That's the reason that I myself wouldn't. I'm not gonna say I wouldn't drive around with a gun, but I would rather. So I agree with people that don't want to have their guns taken from them. I don't want to have my future guns taken from me either. But I don't want somebody to be able to come into a movie theater while I'm trying to watch Avengers and shoot it up with an AR-16, or my child going to school and having to worry about the school being on lockdown and somebody shooting through their classroom windows because they have an AR-16.
And also,
AR-16, policemen don't walk around with AR-16. So why do you need
one? So I'm gonna respond to a few things you said, just because I know that this is how people are going to respond once they see the video. It's important to note that the last Texas, the Santa Fe shooting, the shooter he did carry out that shooting with a shotgun and like a revolver or something. So that was, uh,
Anomaly.
yeah, that was an anomaly in terms of mass shootings. But that's not to say that shotguns and other guns can't do a lot of damage. But the point is that AR-15s are a lot more efficient. A shotgun, it's inaccurate unless you're real
Boom.
close to people.
Boom. Unless
And where you are real close to people, it does a lot of damage. So, you know, there is that argument there. I would just wanted to present that so that people aren't saying that we're, trying to lie to anybody. I do acknowledge that Santa Fe, that guy he shot up his classmates with a shotgun and a revolver, I believe. And then I was gonna also say,
Hey, go ahead.
yeah, I was gonna also say that when people are going into places where guns are not permitted or not readily available, for example, high schools, middle schools, elementary schools, movie theaters, not many people go to a movie theater and carry their gun in with them just because that's not a it's not really a place where guns are necessary or really, you know,
The unit says, no guns allowed. It usually has some
yeah. So
it's similar to this one, but it has the line going through it, and it says it has a gun in the middle of it because you're not supposed to bring them in there.
So, in these situations when there isn't an option of, a good citizen with a gun that is gonna run to the sound of an AR-15 firing into a crowd full of people. These are untrained civilians. Let's presume a majority of people. Yeah, what's up?
People like this, just the gun violence and the school shootings, bro. What do you think about Donald Trump wanting to turn the teachers into John Wick? What do you think about that?
I think that's idiotic. Just because if you look at the facts, our police are supposedly, aside from our National Guard, our most well trained protective services, and the police are supposedly our most well trained protective services, and they freak out every time a black person, or not every time. I'm not gonna say every time, but they freak out. They freak out when people.
Man got shot 20 times in his grandma's backyard for having his phone in his hand. I don't.
That's what I'm saying. It's just like police training. I don't think is extensive enough, especially dealing with African Americans and people that are supposedly deemed dangerous because they had a cell phone.
Come on, bro.
There's no reason that you had to shoot. So a teacher. Imagine Mrs. Mrs. Betsy in second period social studies has what kind of weapons are you going to arm her with? Because if people are committing mass shootings with AR-15s, are we going to arm Miss Betsy in third period social studies with an AR-15? No. And then, every time, let's just say every time any student gets a little bit, a disrespectful student, let's say he's a rowdy student, he talks back to the teacher or whatever, she feels threatened. And now every time, she has the option to pull out her AR-15 and just
tell him sit down.
Shut up, sit down. That.
Come on, bro.
And y'all can say, that's not going to happen. That's not going to. Yeah, I know a majority of teachers aren't going to probably pull out their guns on students, but just like we didn't know that these kids had mental illnesses, a lot of people don't know what teachers are going through. A lot of people don't know what experiences teachers have had with other students. So,
I've had some emotionally unstable teachers in my time. I've seen teachers break down and cry in front of my classes. And if a teacher they're not stable enough to control their class, and they're not stable enough to control themselves in front of their class, they're not stable enough to handle a gun in front of their class.
And imagine when fights break out in school.
Bro, they go shoot in the air. They mess around shooting in the air, be on the first floor. Now they shoot somebody on the second floor because they're trying to be like, stop it.
Yeah, so arming the teachers.
They're not trained for the situation.
Arming the teachers arming the teachers is stupid, and that's not the way to go. They like to say, let's put armed guards in front of the school, making sure people don't come in with guns. There was an armed guard at Santa Fe High School, and
He
as
hid.
far yeah, as far as I know, he didn't do nothing. So
I'm pretty sure I read that he was hiding or
yeah. So
something.
again, these
I'm
are
sure
supposedly trained individuals that are, they're supposed to be the responders. You know, if you're a armed security guard at a school and there's a school shooting, you're supposed to hold the situation down until the police get there. I
your
know
job.
that it's your job. It's the job that you signed up for. So I don't want to hear oh, he was scared. There's 14 and 15-year-old kids getting shot, and you're a grown man with a weapon. You're supposed to, you know,
Do your job.
do your job exactly. So at least until the police get there. But we've seen that doesn't always happen. There have been a couple, literally two or three instances that I've heard of where a citizen with a gun has, stopped a person who was trying to shoot somebody. And these usually weren't mass shooting incidents. These were a person trying to shoot a specific individual for a specific reason, or a particular set of individuals for a particular set of reasons. And the Good Samaritan did use his gun and stop the situation.
There have been situations where a Good Samaritan, stopped a man with a weapon, with no weapon, a young black man, I forgot his name. He stopped the shooting at Waffle with his bare hands.
And he hasn't been acknowledged by anybody yet. He hasn't been acknowledged by anybody, but we're not going to talk about that.
That's I want to say. Donald Trump called him, and it was like, I am going off what other people are saying. I wasn't there. I didn't hear what he said, but word is the dude that got the phone call felt like the phone call was, first off, very late, and it seemed very insincere. But that could just be people not liking Donald, because
Yeah, that's 100%. That you got to take that with a grain of salt. But anyway, the point of the matter is that if there's a Good Samaritan that's going to try to stop a shooter, he or she is going to try to stop the shooter, whether or not he has a gun or not. Because there have been Good Samaritans with guns who did not feel like they were in a position to where they could stop the shooter. And there have been Good Samaritans without guns who have risked their lives and probably saved the lives of a lot of people by stopping the shooter. So, and again, I would just like to emphasize that we are not advocating for the removal of guns from American society. We could bring up the fact that Japan removed guns from their society, and they had one gun related death, one or two gun related deaths in the last 2 years. But you could also say that in Europe they have a lot stricter gun laws, but there's a lot of stabbings now. So there are bad people.
We can afford to try to take everybody's guns, since 80% of our gun-related crimes are already performed with illegal guns. You're not going to get those 80% making more gun laws. So you need to make it to where people with mental illnesses cannot get guns. You can't put guns in other people's names and then walk around and shoot people with them, because that's usually what happens with people that do mass shootings, according to what I've seen.
And I think there should be a regulation of how people keep their guns and how people secure their guns within their homes, because for example, the Santa Fe shooter was using his father's shotgun and his father's revolver. There's no reason that, unless you bring your son to a gun range or a regulated facility like that, there's no reason that a 14, 15, 16-year-old kid should be able to just walk up into his dad's room, grab the shotgun and revolver, put it in a bag, and go to school.
Yeah, that's not.
And just so it's hard to say that you need to regulate what people are doing inside their homes, because that's an infringement on privacy rights. I recognize that. Yeah, but at the same time, there has to be something that we can do to stop all of this gun violence. People who are advocating that there doesn't need to be any changes in gun laws, ignorant. What is the solution then? What is your proposed solution? Arming teachers and people who are also stressed in the same school environment that these kids are being stressed in, and getting pushed to kill their classmates. So that just doesn't seem reasonable to me. Now,
teachers in Artwood were stressed. They don't need any guns. Like, I'm just saying, because I'm not saying that our teachers were bad teachers or anything to that effect, but I'm saying that you don't know, like you said, you don't know where these teachers are from. You don't know their backgrounds. You don't know what they're going through with their personal lives. So to assume, like, that's what we're doing. We're assuming that the teacher should be more responsible than the police and the security guard, at least as the first responder, which is asinine considering how we make excuses for policemen making mistakes as first responders, killing people they're not supposed to kill. But you expect a policeman, you expect a teacher to have the wherewithal and the right state of mind to understand and be able to differentiate between who he's supposed to take care of and who he's not. I don't think that that's a smart idea. I think that it's pretty dumb, and I think it's pretty goofy, to be honest with you. And I don't believe it. I don't want to see certain teachers. Like, we have 70-year-old teachers at my school. 70-year-old teacher probably shouldn't be able to be teaching anymore. But y'all talking about giving teachers guns. To me, that is outlandish.
Yeah, that I'd rather you just propose that you have an armed security guard in every hallway or something like that. But at least those people have they have a employment history of being a security guard or law enforcement or something like that. And even still, like I made the point before, law enforcement doesn't seem to have enough training to handle certain situations. So to hold our citizens to a higher standard than we hold our law enforcement to seems backwards and paradoxical. So I would say that those are not valid solutions. Now, removing military grade weapons from society, we're not in the military and we're not in a war zone, so we don't need military grade weapons or wartime weapons in society.
There's no reason for it. We're not fighting or anybody else's. So the whole argument about the Second Amendment being able to support a militia that we've disbanded, because when we had militias, militias didn't work together. They were creating civil wars. The only war that we've had here on U.S. soil between U.S. citizens was created because of the Second Amendment, because we had that.
And to further that point, protection from a tyrannical government. Just like Mark said, as a black man in America, I am all for protecting yourself from a possible tyrannical government. At the same time, our government has nukes, jets, and tanks. An AR-15, you can shoot all of your bullets, all the bullets you want with your AR-15 at a line of tanks, and that's just not gonna do anything. So unless we're gonna propose that every single American citizen should have a tank, a jet, and a nuke in their backyard so that they can protect themselves from a tyrannical government, that argument is invalid. It's invalid.
With that.
Yeah. So, and I know that people are smart enough to understand why a citizen having a weapon like a tank, a jet, or a weapon of mass destruction would just be dumb.
You don't need an AR.
I don't understand why the line was drawn at tank and not at AR-15 or any other military grade weapon that's used in the military. No.
That's like giving somebody some grenades or an RPG or something that is not wild, but bro, you don't need it, bro. There's nothing that you can explain to me what you're using it for.
You're not gonna.
Why are you using an AR-15 for anything? Shotguns are better for close distances. If you're hunting and you're like a hunter, you take pride in it. Shouldn't you be out there with a hunting rifle or something like a sniper rifle? Why do you need an AR-15 for to hunt for? You must be a terrible hunter. You must be really bad at what you love to do.
Yeah, you gotta unload 30 clips to kill the deer. You can't even eat the deer after that.
Yeah, you're putting 15 shots in the deer when you really should be just putting one. Because if you go to a gun range, if you're a hunter, like the excuse that people use for having AR-15s, you should be able to take care of yourself with a sniper rifle or something to that effect. Which I'm not saying you should be able to have. I don't think you should be able to get a real 150,000 foot sniper rifle. You don't need that either. But Walmart sells guns, BB guns, like at least. And you can go to
a lot of Walmarts. So a lot of different retail stores sell weapons. Real weapons, real guns. So guns aren't that hard to get in society. Just like I said before, if somebody who wants to comment on this video could present me with the last time that somebody broke into a house with an AR-15, I would love to see those statistics. How frequent that happens. You know how effective it was. The
Yo,
those
I'm gonna point out to you. Usually, if you're, breaking into houses, you don't have any money or you're poor or something to that effect.
exactly.
You need funds. I would dare say that assault rifles are the most expensive of the guns. Is
I
that
don't know.
accurate to say?
I don't know. I haven't purchased an assault rifle. I haven't. I don't.
I've
Yeah.
gun rifles before. I know that they were more expensive than the shotguns that I saw and the pistols that I saw. Now I can't speak on the rifles because rifles are big guns, so I don't know necessarily about those. But they're more expensive than certain pistols and certain shotguns, at least on average, from what I've seen with my own eyes.
Yeah. So to sum it up, um, I think that gun rights are very important to have. I think that Americans should be able to legally carry a gun, given that they've gone through the proper background checks and filled out the proper paperwork and if they've done everything they need to do through the legal process to get their weapon. I believe that it is their right as an American citizen to have that weapon and to be able to protect themselves from criminals who might, illegally be getting their weapons or whatever. But at the same time, AR-15s, they don't seem to be used for much else except for mass shootings. I don't, I've seen people shoot an AR-15 at a gun range. I guess we can keep AR-15s for gun ranges. Like if you just like shooting AR-15s, we could pass a law that AR-15s are only to be used within regulated facilities. So if you want to go shoot your AR-15, go out to Uncle Joe's gun range down the street and let it rip, man. You can get a fully automatic. You can do whatever you want, and everybody can be safe and happy. And then you can go home and use your shotgun, your pistol, and your rifle to defend your home from intruders. I think these guns are just as effective, if not more so. So anyway, comment your thoughts below. Let us know if you agree with us, disagree with us.